Let us join in a spirit of meditation, reflection, or prayer as we deepen into our service and share our opening words for this morning. This reading comes from the Reverend Dr. Deborah W. Hafner, President Emerita and co-founder of the Religious Institute. It is titled, "It is Our Journey Together." We are on a journey. We didn't plan it. We didn't have time for the bread to rise. We may find ourselves in the wilderness, hungry, thirsty, doubting that we should have ever come. But look around. We are not alone. It is our journey together, a journey to our better selves, a journey to a better world, a journey to a more promised land. We join Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists all over the world in lighting our chalice. Would Derek and Rowan please come up to light the chalice, which is a symbol of the spark of life in each of us. If you're on Zoom and you have your chalice with you, I invite you to turn on your video to share while we light them. We are in good company. Thank you. Our chalice lighting words are from Melanie Davis, who is the UUA's OWL program manager, is an all levels, our whole lives trainer. The reading is titled, "Exploring Who We Are." Under the right circumstances, playing with fire is a delight. Imagine being gathered round a fire pit as the crackling flames invite us to sing, dance, and roast a marshmallow or two. Our chalice also invites us to play, although with ideas rather than marshmallows. The flame encourages us to explore who we are, who our neighbors are, and where we are on our spiritual journeys. Today, we light this chalice in the spirit of play. Let us trust the light to guide us in this hour and in the days to come, finding joy along the way. Well, I am delighted to announce our speaker this morning. Marnie Piehl will be sharing her journey. And if I say any more, I'm probably going to cry. So just come on.
Well, first of all, I need to thank Claire because she's taken on every role this morning. So thank you. I appreciate you being a facilitator, and I love you too. And it is wonderful to see so many people here today. This room feels full in ways it hasn't in a long time. And so I'm just really grateful for that. And welcome to everyone on Zoom. It's really wonderful to be here in front of you and to feel so comfortable doing so. So today I'll talk to you about this, I believe. And I wrote this, and I haven't written anything sort of substantive that wasn't work related in a while. So this was very satisfying. So I'm grateful to be sharing it with you. So I believe that a spiritual grounding makes us better humans. I grew up as a Methodist, the Trinity, kind of low-cal Jesus. It never felt very intense. It felt very loving. It was the 70s, right? So it was kind of a little bit of a hippie vibe. In Minot, where I was born, we went to Vincent United Methodist Church, and we were really involved there. My dad was on the church council, and my parents' social lives were really interwoven into this very 70s era church. That's how I remember it, as kind of a lot of flowiness, right? We sang a lot of Christian folk songs that are still in my head. They'll know we are Christians by our love. Do you guys know that one? It's one of my favorites, and I think about it a lot. Kumbaya, of course, you know, those campfire songs, but they're songs I'll never forget. And it's the place where I first remember seeing interpretive dance. I always think of Karen too when I think about interpretive dance, but the scarves, right? So I always feel like that's why I'm so fond of this UU staple, the scarf, is because of those formative years with the interpretive dance and all the scarves. But they're perfect for dramatic dancing and cold drafts and then wiping away our tears, of course. Vincent was a place that my family found a lot of joy, safety, and acceptance. I felt really held there as a kid, and I think my parents and my sister did too. It was walking distance from our house. Mostly we didn't walk, because again, it was the 70s, you drove. We became really dear friends with the pastor and his family. And one of my most vivid memories outside of my intense admiration of those teenage interpretive dancers was weaving my way amongst the legs of people during coffee hour. Does anyone else remember that as a kid? You're waving your way and you're about, you know, up to hip distance and people pat you and you feel really known. So I remember that, but I also remember feeling really resentful of all of that. Well, Marnie, how are you? Because I really needed to get to the cookie table before the only thing left was that trash cookie Pfeffernussen, which was not what I wanted. So I'm sorry if I've offended the Pfeffernussen lovers, but that was the goal. We moved to Bismarck in the early 80s, and we moved for my mom's work after my dad left the FBI, which was what had brought them to Minot. It was kind of a hard transition. We were just, a big move like that's always hard, especially when we have kids in grade school. And so we were kind of searching for that acceptance, that place. And the first church we attended was First United Methodist Church. And it was really different than Vincent. It was really rigid and strict. It felt really confining, like the vibe was completely different. There was a family there, and I can't really remember their names, but they were the church bosses. That's kind of how I remember them. They felt sort of dark and anyway, and she was in charge of hospitality, which wasn't that hospitable. And he led the youth group in Sunday school. And I remember going to youth group with this guy and thinking, what is different here? What's wrong? It was the same religion, but it was a lot darker. It felt more like you had to choose good or evil, and you know, traditional conservative values and all those things. We didn't last there long. I think my friends saw that pretty early on, and so we left and we went to McCabe, which felt a lot more like Vincent. There was interpretive dance, so that was exciting. But by then I was a teenager, and so I was, you know, bucking the system a little bit. I didn't want to go every Sunday, but we needed to get confirmed, so we got confirmed, and then we still went as a family, but more on holidays. It was a safe place that we grounded in, but they kind of, you know, after high school, I was resisting during high school, and like I said, but feeling comfort when I went there. But then I went to college, and of course, you know, I had a very unique rebellion where I rejected religion because no one's ever done that before, right? So if it was traditional, if it was conservative, if it was something my parents did, well, I wasn't going to do that, and so I was unique like everyone else. But during this very unique and personal rebellion in which I was exploring Buddhism and atheism and, you know, what's a Wiccan, you know, and all those things, I was trying to figure it all out. My dad, the traditionalist, this church council guy, quit religion. And I remember him telling me that he was sitting there one day in church at McCabe, listening to the sermon, and suddenly he stopped believing in what they said. He said to me, I realized it was all bullcrap. And I remember being really miffed about this because it was my rebellion. What was he doing? Like, why would he take my spotlight in that moment? It was so cruel. But anyway, I had an astonishing lack of curiosity about what he thought or cared about. And so I never really asked him about this. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he stopped believing. And I feel bad about that. He's gone now, you know, so I don't have that opportunity to talk to him. I don't know if he went on a different kind of journey after that. I don't know if he explored other things. If he replaced that belief with other things, he didn't really talk about it that much. He was kind of a good time guy, and so those deep conversations were pretty rare. But I wish I knew. So I started exploring faith again around the time my oldest son, Owen, was born. We were in Fargo then, and I felt like it was important that he have a spiritual foundation, because for me that matters. It matters to like know, well, to know what other people are talking about around you when you live in North Dakota. What are they referencing? So I tried the Methodist church, and it was familiar, but it was too small, like too thoughtfully small. I wanted my son, my single son at the time, to have a broader view of the world, more than what our homogenous state provides. So I started periodically attending the Fargo UU, which I liked, but I felt it was a little bit of a hard time because it was me and a baby, and I just I didn't quite have my in. And so, but I discovered the 7 principles there, and I really loved those tenets. They made more sense than anything else I'd known as far as organized religion went. And I also found a community of safe, loving kindness with some weird thrown in, which was my favorite part of it, right? So it felt like it was tied back to those things that I was searching for when I broke away from what I knew. And that's what my heart longed for my own children, was the best of Christianity. You know, they'll know we are Christians by our love, but with a diversity of belief and humanity in it. So I'd stopped believing that Christianity was a fit, but it was the love that I was searching for, and that acceptance, and the support of the journey, because I think that a journey is always part of it. It's hard to breathe under here. Okay, I get so excited. So we came here to Bismarck in 2006, and by then had 3 sons, 3 little boys. And all of you, we started coming here pretty early on in our arrival, and met some really like-minded people. This congregation and this place has been really vital in my children's spiritual foundation and in their development. I know they're better for the foundation in it. The other day, 16-year-old Wyatt, I have twins that are 16, and then Owen's 21 now, he said, "Hey, thanks for talking about things other people don't talk about with us." And so those boys, they don't come around much, but I see them pursue a free and responsible search for truth and meaning every day of their lives. And I really appreciate all of you for being part of that. That is a really large part about why we're here and why we stay here. And even Owen, when I texted him just last night to say, "Hey, I'm speaking tomorrow morning," he said, "It's pretty early, but I should start going to a UU somewhere." So I think there's hope. So that's exciting. So maybe he'll end up in Fargo. But as I mature in Unitarianism, the principle that really resounds for me at this point is the third, which is the acceptance of one another and the encouragement to spiritual growth. So UU is a place and a people and a system where I feel safe to be a better me and to be challenged to accept others and myself as me, full me. One of the things that I've always struggled with is expressing what I believe it or not. Not here, the safe place, right? But especially when it's a minority view, due to my Midwestern loathing of conflict. I have it. We all have it. I mean, it's pretty hard to get away from not having a fear of conflict, right? I've been reading a lot of Betty Mill's sermons lately. I feel fortunate to have been doing that, and it's been really influential and just such satisfying reading. And there was a passage from one of her sermons titled "The Turbulent Weather of Life," and I really related to it. So I'm going to read this little segment to you. She's talking about a lot of other things, and then she says, "And yet, as I say this, I remember the meeting at Century High about a year ago on religion in the schools, and so fully orchestrated by the religious right. When I did not take the opportunity to let the school board know that I was among those who disagreed with the prevailing public sentiment of that particular gathering. Brian Palachek spoke, Susan Lardonay spoke, but I chickened out with 1,000 small excuses. Growing up is so hard." So I've been involved personally in a lot of community organizations, and I really relate to that. I've been on boards, this board, more than once. I've been on PTOs and councils. I've been nominated. I've been volunteered. I've been elected. I've been pressed into service. And I've been at the table my whole life. But I still always wonder, have I done the work? Have I been present, or have I really done it? Have I said enough? Have I done enough? On the school board now, I talk about choosing my battles. But I always ask myself, is that cowardice to choose your battles? Is that a real thing? Is that an excuse? As I grow older, I find myself both highly aware of the hard conversations that need to be had and avoiding all the hard things all the time because it hurts too much. It's too hard. You know, we see too much. I can hardly watch people argue. I have to limit my intake of war and all the bad news that's out there. I constantly search out good news. I can hardly even watch the news sometimes. In fact, I go to a lot of sports, as you may know. I've spoken of that before. In fact, the boys won the Class A sophomore WDA tournament last night, so just basketball. But even going to basketball, which I kind of love because I love watching them move their bodies and have so much joy, I just wish it would always tie because then everyone would be happy and it would be less conflict. So I find myself also attracted to t-shirts that make a lot of statements. I like to wear those t-shirts, but I don't know that I always stand up in the ways that I aspire to. And that's where the UU comes in. So you give me both acceptance, inspiration, aspiration, and cover in a certain way. And I'm going to quote Betty Mills again. Betty says it really well. She said, "What I really love about Unitarian Universalism is that it never lets me off the hook. It does not consent to let me skip the hard parts, drift around the vital questions, accept ignorance as excusable, turn my back on the world. That those imperatives may be implied rather than out loud does not grant me amnesty." So part of being in this congregation and connected to the work and the bravery and the thoughtful depth of all of you, and all of those we're connected to in the larger UU, lets me live like Betty notes. I am part of the good work even when I'm not as brave as I wish I could be. Being one of the members of this place matters. When I can't be brave or say the words, I know that just showing up helps others to be brave, speak well, stand up, and make the world better, because I know that you all do that for me. I've been so busy for so many years. I've had a career and 3 kids and all these volunteer things and family and friends and this and so many good things. I've had a rich life. Kept a pretty brisk pace. But midlife has me reflecting a bit more. I've done a lot, but I'm wondering if I've done enough. I want to slow down. I want to be more myself and to savor stillness in every moment, which I see these moments flying by like I never have before. I want to do less, but for each of the things I do to be more meaningful. I'm taking stock, and I'm looking to how I can contribute more meaningfully to that interdependent web of existence that we talk about here. I read a lot, usually fiction, but not always. Liz Anderson gave me this book, Professional Troublemaker, The Fear Fighter's Manual by Lovey Ajayi-Jones. Okay, I'm going to admit, I haven't read it all the way through, but for this talk, it really helped me out a lot. And you know it's a good book when I'm going to quote to you from the first page, okay? Yes. So here's what Lovey says on the very first page. Know yourself. We fear our full selves. We are afraid of who we are in all our glory and grit. We're constantly searching for that person, or forgetting that person, or repressing that person, instead of standing strong in who that person is. Being fully ourselves is necessary for us because it serves as a grounding force. I find that's the case for me. There's a lot to be afraid of in this world, because in general, things can be a wreck out there. And none of us need to be afraid of who we are in our whole personhood, because who has the time? This standing in your full self isn't about being an immovable person whose beliefs are stuck in a rock. It's not that nobody can tell you anything or that you're not able to admit when you're wrong. Instead, it's about having a strong sense of identity. It's about knowing you belong in this world just as much as anyone else. It's about taking up the space you earned simply by being born. So, as Lovey says, I have a right to be here. So third principle again. Not only do I accept each of you, I accept myself and my ongoing never-ending spiritual growth. So on page 2 of this book, because I don't know, I guess I don't have to read anymore. This is really good. Lovey addresses the poem Desiderata, which maybe many of you know, but I didn't know about, and I really wish I'd read sooner. It would have been really helpful in my 20s as a grounding force in particular, but it's never too late. So I'm going to read Desiderata to you because I really appreciated it. It's a nice guide. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, and you have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham drudgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. So that was Mac's sermon. So then I'm going to read the saint of the UU, Victoria Stafford. So she was the White Bear Lake pastor. And Betty, who I'm going to come back to shortly as I close this out, really referenced Victoria Stafford a lot in a lot of her stuff. So here's Walking Toward Morning by Victoria Stafford. You know we do it every day. Every morning we go out blinking into the glare of our freedom, into the wilderness of work in the world, making maps as we go, looking for some signs that we're on the right path. And on some good days, we walk right out of our oppressions, those things that press us down from the outside, or as often from the inside. We shake off the shackles of fear, prejudice, timidity, closed-mindedness, selfishness, self-righteousness, and claim our freedom outright, terrifying as it is, our freedom to be human and humane. Every morning, every day, we leave our houses, not knowing if it will be for the last time, but decide what we'll take with us. We'll carry how much integrity, how much truth-telling, how much compassion, in case we meet someone along the way that may need some, how much arrogance, how much anger, how much humor, how much willingness to change or be changed, to grow and to be grown, how much faith and hope, how much love and gratitude. You pack these with your lunch and medications, your date book and your papers. Every day we gather what we think we'll need, pick up what we love and all that we so far believe, put on our history, shoulder our experience and memory, take inventory of our blessings, and we start walking toward morning. So my path makes more sense because of my Unitarian Universalist grounding. Victoria Stafford's good, but in this wondrous little haven, we have our own sage, and I'm going to let Betty rephrase Victoria Stafford for you. So this is from Betty's sermon titled Confessions of an Aging Liberal, which I am now. Then I guess, to borrow from Victoria Stafford reading, I gather what I think I'll need, pick up what I love, and all that I so far believe, put on my history, shoulder my experience and memory, take inventory of my blessings, and start walking toward morning with all of you. Thank you.
I
We're going to end with these words, The Courage to Continue on the Journey by Lynn Cox. Spirit of life and love, known by many names and yet fully known by none, we give thanks for this time and this place of renewal. We give thanks for the ability to begin again, after the disaster, after the tragedy, after the loss, after meeting the challenge set before us. Grant us the courage to continue on the journey, the courage to speak up for the well-being of others and ourselves and the planet. May we forgive each other when our courage falls short, and may we try again. Grant us hearts to love boldly, to embody our faith and our values in living words and deeds. May our hearts open to embrace humility, grace, and reconciliation. Grant us the ability to learn and grow, to let the spirit of love and truth work its transformation upon us and within us. Grant us the spirit of hospitality, the willingness to sustain a fit dwelling place for the holy that resides in all being. Grant us a sense of being at peace in the world, even as we are in motion. Let us cultivate together the strength to welcome every kind of gift and all manner of ways to be on the journey together. To this, we add the silent prayers of our hearts. Blessed be.
We begin again.